First of all, my name is Roy Bussaw. I grew up in Seattle, Washington.
Mr. Jab Nash. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
My name is Kylie Hampton. I also go by Killa or Kai. I was born and raised here in Seattle, really Renton, Washington.
Me and my 4 younger siblings end up moving in with my dad's mom.
Hello, my name is Chardonnay Beaver, and we are here on Talk of the Town podcast. Thanks for tapping in. I know this is a little bit different because I am not Roy, Killa, or Jav, but I am a multimedia storyteller, born and raised here in Seattle, Washington, and I am privileged to be able to share introductions about your host and really get to know who they are, their story, and what's brought them to this very moment to support the town. And so you are now tuning in to the Talk of Town podcast, where I am about to interview the lovely Miss Kylie Hampton, aka Killa.
Mm-hmm.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be here with you and our viewers.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Yes. So, this idea originally came from the fact that we see podcasts often. Mm-hmm. People are talking to others and having just powerful conversations about culture and business and entrepreneurship and sports like you guys do here. Mm-hmm. But you don't really know the host, Right. And it's like, okay, I love the stories, but who are these people beyond this moment, right? Mm-hmm. This episode. And so coming together, we all put our brains together and was like, how are we going to share with our viewers, your guys' viewers, who you are? And what a great moment to just chop it up and learn about you beyond all the greatness of the podcast, right?
Right.
So why don't we start with, who are you? What do you want viewers to know about yourself? And then just dive in from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Kylie Hampton. I also go by Killa or Kai. And I was born and raised here in Seattle, really Renton, Washington. And grew up with my mom and my younger brother. And also I shared with my dad and my 8 other siblings. Mm-hmm. So I'm big on family, very family oriented. So just growing up, we had a big household, blended family, everybody just all together.
I'm sure those summer barbecues were just amazing.
Were they? Oh my gosh.
The electric slide, no one could up you, right?
Big family, big family from both sides, mom and dad. So literally, every family function is always something.
And both from the town, both sides of the family.
Yep.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so deep roots here in Seattle.
Yes, deep roots for sure.
So tell me a little bit about, your upbringing experience. What were you into? 2000 babies, right? So What were your go-tos and what are your interests?
Growing up, I really enjoyed music, listening to music, writing music. I also enjoyed reading, writing. Mm-hmm. School was really big for me, education. My mom, she was started talking about education since I was about 5 years old. Mm. And since then, just knowledge in general and learning has been something that's been really interesting to me. Always been super curious and always asking questions, even if they're the wrong questions, or not right for the time, I should say. And then what else did I enjoy doing?
You just graduated with your degree. I know that's right.
First gen.
Hey. That's a huge accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And we know that the last 4 years were not linear as far as getting to this moment, not easy getting to this moment. Mm-hmm. And so, you have this so y'all, we talked before all this because we had to get to the meat so that we could share it with you authentically. Mm-hmm. But in our conversation, our first introduction, me and you hopping on the phone, what I really liked was that you had these 3 whys. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about your 3 whys is that sometimes in life, when we think about our why, right? You hear athletes have your why. You guys had Delea Daniels on there. Shout out to Delea. And she was talking about her why. And sometimes we think that our why needs to be a thing or something that we are striving towards. Right. My why is to be able to buy my mama a house, or my why is to be able to, achieve this certain amount of success. But what I liked about your whys was that they were things that you could point to in times of hardship that kept you grounded, right? And so I think our viewers could learn from that a little bit about, having whys that keep you grounded and that are substantial. Could you share with us your whys?
So my whys were God, family, and my future. So those are the things that like keep me grounded in the present while also keeping me striving towards something else. Yeah. So my family is my support. God is someone that I lean on and find support from. And then my future keeps me having tunnel vision on what's the next move that I need to make. So that's been something that's always kept me.
And I'm sure that has been super helpful during these past 4 years, just managing school, life, balance. Sure. And you went away from school, still in Washington, right?
Yep, Eastern Washington.
You want to give a shout out to your school?
Shout out to WSU. Go Cougs.
Go Huskies.
It's okay.
But I mean, how did those 3 whys impact and influence your time? Like, within managing the ups and downs of college, especially as a first-gen student? That's different.
It is very different. So during school, I was there for 5 years. And during that time, I was away from family. So having had my family my whole life, being that support system, like it was really difficult for me to be out there on my own, completely independent from everything that I've known to now I'm doing me. I have to make these phone calls to my family, navigate through college life without having somebody there to like give me advice or show me how to do it. And during that time when I didn't have my family by me, I would make calls and stuff, but that's when I really deepened my relationship with God. And like I found it easier to build that out there. And it was like just a good source for me to not only learn myself, but to learn more about what it is to have faith. Because growing up, my mom, she did not pressure us to have a religion per se. Like we're Christian, but she didn't force it onto us. So she wanted us to always have that decision and choice behind it. So once I got out there on my own, I was like, okay, maybe this is the time for me to do this. Maybe this is the right path for me to take. And like, that's how I deepened, my prayer life and found like friends who were also interested in God and who helped steer and navigate me in the right path. Because once I surrendered to God and just kind of put my life in his hands, like everything else just aligned for me.
Flowing with the river, right?
Yes.
That is such a good point. And I really hope, we talked about this being older sisters, wanting our siblings to experience that time of just like going out and really getting to know who you are, getting grounded in your why, getting grounded in your faith. Because it's an anchor for you, right?
It is anchor.
And then when you go out and you do creative things like this and you collaborate and really wanting to have an impact on not just yourself, your family, but like the broader sense of your town, it requires you knowing who you are, right? So I really love that. And college is fun because it's a little bit of everything there, but having a sense of your why really, really helps. Something that comes to mind as you were speaking was how you bring your full self to the table, right? And so having your why, knowing your why, having your family in mind, God, of course, in mind, and then your future, how has that kept you in a space grounded when the hardships come? And I emphasize this because I know that mental health is also really important to you. And I know that sometimes we have our whys that ground us, but we don't necessarily know how to return back to them when things hit, and healthy methods. Also, you kind of answered my question. It's the inner interviewer of you, the inner interviewer of you. But yeah, how did you retort back to those parts of your life when mental health and things like that were happening? Or I should say when your mental wellness was compromised, because mental wellness and mental health, 2 different things. So just gonna put that out there.
So for me, when I did deal with things with mental wellness, and when it did feel compromised, I would turn to those things, not necessarily future. Of course, it was like an anchor for me to look forward to and have hope. But when I did deal with these things, like my family was like a big support system for me, and then relying on God as well. Like, I done been through some tough times, but every time God has shown me that I'm going to be okay and that I can rely on him and continue to prosper in the way that I need, while also taking time for myself. Because I feel like all of those things are necessary. They're character building, and yeah, I just
heavy on the character.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm interested on your thoughts on this. I think I was thinking about this today. I was at the cafe. I was like, I also write, journalist, and I was just thinking like, okay, while at the cafe, because I'm a cafe connoisseur, I'm starting to like formulate these different ideas coming to me. Y'all will see, you already know I'm a little deep. They call me the counselor. Yep. And so I'm like, it's costly to be countercultural. It's costly to do things a different way, but it's always a cost worth paying. I love that you speak on this because one of my favorite communicators ever is Dr. Miles Monroe. And he talks about how the saddest thing in life isn't dying. Like, the saddest thing in life is living a life without knowing your purpose.
Right.
Because you're just here, and I'm paraphrasing, but his quote, but you're just here, just kind of floating around being aimless.
Right.
And so I'm curious, now being a graduate, coming back into the city, the town, what was something that you saw a need of? And like, how has your experience there informed your time coming back home and being here on the podcast?
Well, I feel like a lot of times I talk to people who are not from Washington, and they don't understand us. Most of the time, I don't understand us either. But like, they just don't understand the culture behind here. I grew up here, so like, I know that our culture is rich here. Like, the Black community here is very just, there's so much to us, so much more. And I feel like we here at Talk of the Town are like helping to highlight Black creators in all forms. And I feel like it's something that's definitely needed here to like push those voices up and to get a little bit more hype around it.
Yeah.
But like, when I think of other places like Atlanta, Memphis, they needed like other people to keep the momentum going to push those voices. So I feel like eventually Washington can be one of those places where, we have the hype behind us and the support of not only the city, but globally. Yeah.
And I mean, you're the one to talk about globally because you are a passport princess.
I sure am.
How many places in the world have you been? Let's just let's count them.
Okay. Well, we have...
Because you just came back from somewhere.
Tokyo.
Right?
Yep. We got Tokyo, Morocco, Paris, Italy, Puerto Rico, Barcelona, Cancun, Tulum. Look it's a sign. God said, go on this trip
it's
today.
Time to go somewhere.
Where else?
Feeling real international.
A whole lot of places, honestly, like a lot. Probably more. Not probably. There will be more.
That part.
Yes. So I love traveling. It's definitely helped open my eyes and like helped me to just put my life in perspective. Because like sometimes when I fly, like my dad was locked up for some time, and like I'll find myself flying over where he was locked up, and I like, it's just emotional for me because I'm like, dang girl, you came from here and you're already like doing so many things. So it just makes me proud, and like just to look at it and see like we beating generational curses here.
That part. Yeah. And you know what? I want to kind of spin the block on that because I know that is such a topic that is unfortunately, it's not irregular in our community, to have a parent who is locked up at a moment of time, or being a single parent household and the challenges that comes with. What would you like to say to encourage anyone who could be currently going through that, is still wrestling with the pain of that? Your experience is a little bit different because I know you're like a daddy's girl, right?
I sure am. Man.
So it's a little different because other people are still trying to like sort through that. What would you say for, I don't know, your younger self, or even someone who, like I said, is currently going through that? Look into the camera.
Okay.
Which one should we look at, guys? This one? Either one?
I think this one.
Look into the camera and just encourage somebody.
Well, what I wish I would have heard from my younger self is just to take it one day at a time, to know that at the time it didn't feel temporary for me, but I knew that it was going to be temporary. Some people, they don't have that option. It's not a temporary situation, but if I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self that this is for my benefit, it not only helped build myself up and made me stronger, but it also strengthened the relationship that I had with my dad. Like, we're, me and him, big on writing. We like would send each other letters all the time and like talk on the phone and like just find different ways to communicate and like deepen our relationship. And during that time, we also leaned on God. So, you know, I think I would tell my younger self to continue to pray, continue to build that relationship, and to find a way to turn that pain into power. So, yeah.
I would even add transforming that pain into purpose.
Right there on the head.
There it is. Yeah. We can just flow all day, right?
Yep.
But so, I mean, leading up to this moment, all of your experiences that you've had from being first generation college student, being a world traveler, not even in the making, you're already stamped up.
Stamped up.
Being a sibling, an older sister, being here from Seattle, but really knowing around the town. Being biracial as well, right? Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So I am biracial. My mom is Filipino Mexican and my dad is Black. Ooh, that in itself.
Sounds like fun.
It is fun. I will say it is fun because like I get two spectrums of like a household. So, you know, around like my mom's side, like I get like that culture, and then my dad's side, I get a whole different culture. Growing up, it was a little bit confusing, but it was also nice to have a safe place in either dynamic that I had. So with like my dad, like I feel like personally my sisters helped me navigate through my Blackness, which my mom couldn't do for me because she's not a Black woman.
Right.
So I feel like she took the time, my older sister Erin, she helped to like nurture that and to show me what it is to be a Black woman navigating through it. Because, you know, the cultural difference, there is a cultural difference. So, and that's nobody's fault, but, you know, for her to help me through that and like to help me find an essence or piece of myself, like it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. And, you know, that is a common experience. Going back to Delea, that's my girl. Hey, Delea. She shared about her experience being biracial, and in the town you often see that, like interracial couples, interracial families, right, merging. So that is something to speak to, and I think offers a cool perspective for folks who are viewing, even younger folks who like they don't see themselves in that way, especially coming from up here. And then you're here on this podcast, you know, speaking to that. So it's refreshing. It offers a new sense of identity for other people to be seen and heard. And also, I mean, you talked about your dad who was experienced incarceration during a part of your life, and accumulating all these things, getting to this point. How has your experience growing up here informed how you see culture, entertainment, art, sports, business, and what impact would you like to make here on Talk of the Town?
I feel like all of my experiences overall have, one, helped shape me into the woman that I am today. It's made me just not only get closer to myself, but also closer to my community, and just to find like different groups of people who I can relate to and who may relate to me, and to be able to help other people navigate through all of this. And the impact that I do want to make is I just want to be able to be a light for others. I want to be able to, by me being authentically myself, I want to be able to inspire others to be themselves and to support others within the community, because I think that everybody can win. And I would like to advocate for mental health, advocate for those who are incarcerated, advocate for anybody in the community who needs to be uplifted. So
love that. And that's Miss Killa.